Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the score was 125-110. The Lakers fall to the Sacramento Kings at home, go down 0-2 in the season series against this Kings team, and steals and turnovers. The Lakers had 23 turnovers, 30 points off of those turnovers, and that's the story. If you look up and down the box score of the Kings' best players, everybody had over 3 steals. It was really, really ridiculous tonight. Kevin Huerter had 28 points. He was fantastic. De'Aaron Fox, 28 as well. Sabonis had 29. Miss Triple Dub showed up for LeBron James, as Uncle Shay often says. He got a triple double tonight, but also was, I think it was one of those situations where the Sacramento Kings were coming at us really fast, and we cut the lead to 6. They ran it up to 20. Cut it to like 10. They ran it up to 26, and then we cut it again, and it was like we could just never keep up with them because we kept turning the ball over too much, and they were striking too fast. Anthony Davis, he had 4 blocks, but the game was moving fast for him. This is one of those games where I don't know that he was really a help to you on the offensive end, because when he was striking, he wasn't striking hard. He kind of seemed like he was laboring on the injury that he had supposedly recovered from. But I just didn't get what I needed from AD on the offensive end. I wasn't very happy there. D'Angelo Russell was fantastic. He was 4 for 6 from behind the arc. I thought he was hitting all the big shots that we needed to see him hit. Cam Reddish, I thought, was also very, very good. 15 points. He stood out in a very positive way. But this, I think my thing is this. We had a back-to-back last night, but we rested our players. That's good. We don't want to use that as an excuse. I don't think that would have been a problem. But because coach only wanted to use a few guys, it was a problem. Because now you got a game that's moving twice as fast as the game we played yesterday. Because, as I told you at the beginning of the day, Kings ain't depleted. They're not depleted at all. In fact, they said their last game, they were so happy about how their team came together and was clicking on all cylinders for the first time all season. And that was their last game against Cleveland. So it's like, I told y'all Kevin Huerter was shooting well. He didn't hardly miss, man. I'm surprised he didn't have even more than 28 points. But you can't have a situation where the other team is well rested and they twice as fast as you because they got De'Aaron Fox down there and Sabonis down there. Fantastically conditioned athletes. Keegan Murray played some hellacious defense out there on Austin Reeves. He was hellacious. Harrison Barnes, same thing, hellacious defense. And you just really saw them shine defensively, striking harder with more energy, and you didn't see enough of a rotation to provide you the energy necessary for the guys who were giving you energy. So it's like you lean on Bron for 35 minutes, you leave on AD for 35 minutes, you leaning on all these guys who are down there fighting for too many minutes after coming off of a back-to-back. And now if they were going up against a normal team that didn't have such super fast guys on it, then I think we would have fared better. But because Sacramento had so much energy and they already faster than us, this is not the game to overuse guys who were already tired from yesterday's game. So Darvin just missed the bus, man. And gave Christian Wood like four minutes or something like that. I don't know what the hell was going on there. I might have got that wrong, but I think Rui Hachimura had like 18 minutes. He hardly used Rui. That was a mistake. And so these are the type of things I'm looking at. I'm like, man, you gave Taurean Prince all these minutes. And I tell y'all, as soon as we took Taurean off and took Taurean out in the second half, that's when the score started to lean in our favor again. We just really don't need him on the floor in a game like this. You got to know, it's almost like a feel thing. But there were certain players on the floor tonight that just didn't need to be out there. Taurean Prince was definitely one of them. And I would argue Anthony Davis, to a degree, was also another. Because it was just when the offense goes to him, he wasn't striking fast enough. LeBron James was good, really good. His 3 balls falling a little more. He was striking fast. He was good. Part of the solution problem was every time they stole the ball, they were stealing it from him. And if they wasn't stealing it from him, they were stealing it from Austin. And then we had bad Austin tonight. I think he has a bit of the I can't shoot against this team syndrome going on. Because he was 1 for 12 against Sacramento earlier in the year, and now tonight he did not shoot as well. He was bad shooting the ball, but making assists, making plays and stuff like that. But when you have him being inefficient and then he's turning the ball over, it just makes for too much bad out there. I did like some of the offensive rebounds he was giving us, stuff like that, second chance points. He was hustling. He was helping the team. But he was also a big part of the problem because when they'd strike, they're running past him in some of those cases. So it was just a lot of us being flat-footed. And we just didn't have the speed. This was the game. This was the game that I can legitimately say we needed Zach LaVine. And I know that a lot is being said about Zach LaVine being on the trade block. He's already mentioned on the record that he wants to play with Bron and AD if he had an opportunity to, technically, which I don't know if they're going to try to get him for tampering or not. I don't know if I like the price tag on the player, but this is the team that you need him to go up against because you ain't going to have no answer at the speed that they strike. We were doing good things, but their defense was too strong for us to not have somebody on the floor that's lightning fast. And that was the problem. D'Lo was scoring like crazy, but they were scoring on D'Lo. You see what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing. And they were playing better defense than us as a whole, so they were able to just keep ahead of us most of the time. So you don't need Taurean Prince on the floor. AD needs to be playing better and healthy 100%. D'Lo, if he was, he was a plus for us. Not speaking on his plus minus, but I'm just saying he was a plus for us. He was helpful because his scoring was so efficient. He really had it going. He was hitting the key buckets, finding them in the corner, all that stuff. He was keeping us close. But the defense, man, I just felt like at the end of the day, Sacramento just looked like a better conditioned team. They were well rested, and they used more of their team on top of that, and then they just played hellacious defense. On the defensive end, their energy overlapped our defensive energy against them, and that's really what I saw there. When we have our defensive energy, we were kind of just going through the motions because we're used to playing a lower level set of teams, and this is what I was mentioning as well in the pregame video. We just came off of seeing basically 3 depleted teams in a row. Portland, Phoenix without Booker, and then of course the lowly Memphis Grizzlies without Ja Morant and Brandon Clark, and Marcus Smart got hurt. So you had it was an optical illusion that you were playing as well as you were because them teams were half of who they were. You go up against a team like Sacramento who has it going and most of their players are on the floor. You've taken it up to another level that you probably are not ready for off of a back-to-back. And shooting the way we shot yesterday was like fool's gold because they shoot like that all the time. Sacramento, that's what they do. They score and they score fast. And I told you guys I thought the score would be upwards of 120-something, 130-something because of who we're going up against. And if you can't keep up with them, you're in trouble. Now, what I wasn't counting on was Sacramento playing as well defensively as they did. I wasn't counting on that. I knew they would score like this, but they got some key stops. I loved how the Lakers were fighting in the fourth quarter. They made it fun. We thought we had a chance, even though we were down by 9 with like 3 minutes to go. It felt like there was a chance, but we were out of gas. Bron was out of gas. AD was out of gas. Austin, they were just out of gas, man. And the Sacramento Kings just kept running. They kept taking advantage of them turnovers, and they got in transition. They got buckets. Now, we scored 25 points off their turnovers as well, so I could say we did some good things there too. But when you turn the ball over 23 times, I mean, you're not going to have a whole lot of success, man. And so that's really what it came down to. I told you I was concerned about them turnovers because we turned the ball over 18 times against Memphis when we were shooting so well and playing great the way we did yesterday. So I told y'all, like, they only had 9 turnovers. We had 18. And I knew that if I was on for point, I probably should have mentioned that in the pregame video that we got to be careful. But they got guys like Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis. I did mention the steals. Keegan Murray, that's what they do. They steal the ball. So if you're coming off a night where you had bad turnovers to begin with and you got to see this team the next night, it's a mixture of things that kind of go against you, and I should have saw this coming. I should have saw this coming. That's how I feel as an analyst. I should have saw this coming. Because at the end of the day, this is De'Aaron Fox. And the one thing I know about De'Aaron Fox is every time he sees the Lakers, he makes us remember that we passed on him. And he always kills us. And he's averaging 30 points. And he's one of the fastest players on the planet. And so when you have a D'Lo down there and Austin Reeves down there, you really don't have an answer for him. Now, I made my halftime video basically bashing Taurean Prince for being average. And in this game really backs up my theory that we probably should just go ahead and move on from him. Because at the end of the day, if you have him on the floor for too long, it really does leave you a weak link. It doesn't mean that he's necessarily playing poorly. It just means that because people know he's on the floor, they're going to attack you differently. They're going to have more confidence against him. And I tell you, that's just what it is, man. He's one of those guys where it's like he's been in the league for a long time and people know him. And they know what he can and cannot do. And it's just one of those situations where, yeah, he's going to help you in some areas. But more so, he's just going to be somebody that people have confidence against. And there's a thing for that. He made some good plays, but when you look at the score versus when he was on the floor and versus when he was not in this game, it's a real indictment on whether or not he should be part of the starting lineup, or probably even part of the rotation very much. Especially since we got Cam Reddish playing well. And I felt like some of the minutes that we were giving to Taurean Prince should have just went to Rui Hachimura, man. And so the fact that we didn't use Rui tonight, he was super hot yesterday and was a big part of why we won against Memphis. I just thought the coach didn't get it tonight. He just didn't understand that tonight. You gotta understand when a guy is not going to help you. You know what I mean? You gotta know when a guy is he's just against Sacramento, you're not gonna have a whole lot of success, man. Now, if you're going up against a Brooklyn or going up against Minnesota or something like that, Taurean Prince could be a real good dude. Atlanta or something like that, maybe you got, depending on the team. Maybe Atlanta ain't the right example either with Trae Young, but I'm just saying, like, when a team is not as fast, kind of got solid small forwards he can kind of pace with back and forth, yeah, he can have a really good game. You're going up against Sacramento, Keegan Murray and them dudes, and Barnes, and those are high-level dudes. They're going to eat his lunch, man. And that's what it was. I mean, he wasn't the only one out there getting cooked. It's just that when everybody else is not playing well, you can't have him down there being average, and that's the point. Because we couldn't get nothing going offensively with our front court with Austin defensively, with Austin and D'Lo, weren't getting nothing going. And because AD was kind of lackluster, lugging up and down the floor pretty much all night, it's just like Taurean is just a guy out there. And so he's not going to help you. But he can hurt you because he's not going to help you as those other guys are struggling in key areas. So that's kind of what it is for me, man. I'm ready to see him move on. He's only on a 1-year contract, so you're gonna trade him at the deadline anyway. I'm cool, man. I'm very cool. It's not that he can't help a team. It's just that for what our weaknesses are, he don't need to be down there. That's just the God's honest truth. And I don't think most people are gonna see it that way. I just happen to look at it that way, but that's just what I see. So yeah, man. Turnovers, man. Turnovers. We did shoot 50% from the field, so that's really good. We're continuing that process. I think we shot 40% from the three or something like that. Kind of lost our momentum there a little bit. Only hit 11 of them tonight. No records broken. But, yeah, man. I'm not angry at this game. I really like the effort that we put in. I like the fight that we had. I was cheering for this game harder than I cheered for most. Braun really kept us going, but the turnovers were irritating. And Sacramento just jumped on top of us early, man. They really did. They struck fast, they struck hard, and they played defense for a change. And when they all chip in to play team defense, and you got their three main scorers hitting everything, it makes things hard. And I told y'all that Kevin Huerter was playing really well right now. And when we saw them last, Kevin Huerter was on a bad slump, but he completely shot his way out of that, and he's on the opposite end of that right now. He's super hot. And we saw that tonight. Every time we needed him not to hit a shot, he basically did. He did have one or two air balls or something like that, but for the majority of the night, he was hitting everything he wanted to hit, man. And so that was kind of a thing down there that was really frustrating for me to watch because we were just leaving him with so much space, and he was just continuing to make us pay for it. And another thing that frustrated me, and I've already mentioned this, was Keegan Murray's defense. He was hellacious tonight. He was stifling, man. There were sequences out there where I honestly felt frustrated because of how well he was playing defense. Sacramento fans may want to keep an eye open for his rib. They may want to check him out because he really did get hit in the rib pretty hard by Jackson Hayes. That was noticeable to me. But I was really impressed with Keegan Murray's defense, and it frustrated me quite a bit. I'm sure it frustrated the guys who had to be dealing with him. So, this is a good team, man. I told y'all Sacramento was a contender last year. I don't think their bench is as strong in terms of the level of talent on that bench. I think they got some guys in there that they'd rather not. Maybe they can make a trade or two to get a little better on that bench this year. But that starting five is still strong, man. Sabonis is amazing. Far underrated big man in this league. One of the best big men in the league. And his three-point shot is underrated as well. He doesn't shoot it very much, but he hits it against us. And so with him being so cerebral, passing the ball, you got everybody else down there cerebral as hell. It just makes for an easy go for their scorers, like Murray and Monk and those guys. They have great passers passing them the rock at all time. And then when you got a guy like Fox who's just lightning fast, they strike fast and they strike hard, man. So that's why I think Sacramento is a very dangerous team in the Western Conference. Because as long as De'Aaron Fox is healthy, Sabonis is healthy, they can really destroy teams, And then with Huerter playing this well, they're hard to beat, man. They're hard to beat. They hung 125 points on us and cut us down to 110. And that's a good defensive night for Sacramento, Will. You're going to have to score 130 points to beat them on a lot of nights, man. And so anybody who plays them. Your defense ain't going to be too effective against that team. And you consider Keegan didn't really shoot that well. Monk didn't really shoot that well. The level that they gave us wasn't the highest level that team can go. So I'm glad we don't see them again till March. And hopefully we can do something to kind of improve our roster a little bit before then. I really do want to make a move, man. I don't know what type of move I want to make, but I'm just a little irritated with the lack of speed that we have in our backcourt right now. Our front court could use another center as well. Maybe we can incorporate Castleton into the mix by the second half of the season or something, but I need Jackson Hayes to hit the weight room. That's really all it is. If he puts on another 10 pounds of weight, I think he'll be that much more dangerous to deal with. I'm happy with him. I don't want to move him or nothing like that. He's a nice young player, and I like his athleticism, but he does have work to do. And, I think we could have used the Vandalorian out there tonight, too. He would have really helped us a lot, especially if his three ball was falling. He would definitely have helped us. So there's still things we could do. Gabe Vincent might have been a helpful piece down there to help kind of offset some of what we saw. But then again, he's kind of like Taurean Prince to me. You get that Taurean Prince dynamic, to be honest with you, with Gabe. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to get a little faster. I want to get a little more athletic, man. And I think the Zach LaVine piece will really help us. I don't want to move Rui to get him. And the way that D'Lo's playing, I'm not really up for moving D'Lo either, because he can be a very good executing player. When he's on, he executes well, and that's ultimately a deficiency of our team. But I know he's probably going to be the piece we move. And for Zach LaVine, it might be the thing. But the understanding we got to have about Zach LaVine is two things. One, he is not overly durable. And two, his basketball IQ is not very good. But he's lightning quick. He can fly, obviously. And he can light up like 10 threes in one game. And put you in a position to really do good things. So if you could utilize him properly and don't have him do too much in terms of, just don't empower him to do too much. Let other people ball handle and make plays for him. You could probably utilize him properly if you harness what he is properly. But that's the key. You have to harness him, because if you let him go, he going to throw up shots and he going to do dumb stuff, and you're going to hate it. You're going to hate it. I already know. I've seen enough of it with him being on other teams. So, I'm not the biggest Zach LaVine fan, but I do think if we want to beat Sacramento in a playoff series, we need him playing well on our team. I really believe that. Because the way that we're constructed right now, we'd probably get knocked off by Sac. I'm just being honest. De'Aaron Fox is too quick, man. And so, ain't too many people can keep up with De'Aaron Fox. It's only a few. Zach LaVine may be one of them. And Zach LaVine don't really play no defense, but at least he could put some offense up. So these are things to just study, man. I don't know. I don't know if Zach LaVine is the move or not, but I know that's the type of athleticism I want on my team in a night like tonight. Tyrese Maxey type of thing. Like you need somebody like that to offset what De'Aaron's doing, man. So yeah, that's it. Foot speed, man. Foot speed on the defensive end, foot speed on the offensive end. I'm loving what Cam Reddish is doing though. I want to make that clear. Ever since I've been bashing him, saying he didn't deserve to be next to Bron, he's made me eat those words. And I just want to see him continue to play the way he's playing. He's great, man. Defensively, he's been doing what he needs to do, steal the ball. Offensively, the corner shots been falling. And I like how he's been attacking the rim, too, man. Euro steps and stuff like that. Trying to get out in the fast break. I'm really liking the confidence that he's been developing since LeBron James instilled that confidence in him, in my opinion. And so I just also want AD to heal. AD did not look like himself tonight. Like I said, the 4 blocks were cool. I was very pleased with. But as we said at the beginning of the game, he's been an MVP candidate, putting up almost 30 points a night. Tonight was a low point total for AD. And I just think because he wasn't healthy. And so for me, this I don't know. If we ever have games, I'm just going to say, like big men, sometimes when they have a lot of fast players running around them, it's almost like the game is too fast for them. That's how it seemed like to me AD was dealing with this game. It just seemed like the game was moving too fast. It was almost like people were spinning around him and he's just kind of like, oh, what's going on? And everybody just... Sometimes that's how it is. Even back in the day with Shaq, you'd have games like that where there would be certain games where the speed would be so fast that if Shaq didn't have it going, it was just like it's almost like he's not moving fast enough to keep up with the game's pace. It didn't happen very often with the big fella, but that was something that I remember throughout the course of my Laker 10 years of watching this, 30 years of watching this game. And so tonight, this was that for AD. He just seemed like the game was spinning around him and he was just trying to keep up. Like, whoa, what is going on out here? It was almost like that for me. Sometimes AD doesn't strike fast. That's what I'll say about him. Sometimes when you get him on the offensive end, if he's taking jump shots from like 15 feet and a brick. I didn't need that from him tonight. We needed him to be able to catch lobs, and they were just playing excellent defense, fronting him, doubling. That's what I will say, man. Mike Brown had some good stuff going down there on both sides of the floor. The schemes were really tight, man. More of what needs to be said about Sack was positive than anything else. Running real strong screen plays, having us banging off each other, and ultimately just playing physical ball on the offensive end. And on the defensive end, they were running schemes, double teams, and using their feet very well, using their arms very well, and just having energy on the defensive end, forcing steals and getting out in transition off of key double teams and just doing things the right way. So I just thought Mike Brown was on high display tonight, man, and his team was on a string, and we see why he was the coach of the year last year. I mean, this is a far cry from the Mike Brown I remember from coaching us. He is one of the best coaches out there, and you can see his team doing what he needs them to do and just running through a wall for him. And I was impressed with his team tonight, and I know why that was. So that's what I got to say, man. The screenplays that were running off of us just really wore us down, I think. Many times we found ourselves running into Sabonis. Many times we found ourselves running into Harrison Barnes, and then De'Aaron Fox just speeding past us. That wore down Bron, that wore down AD, that wore down Austin, and they were tired by the end of this game. And so, yeah, it was a lot to be said for this particular matchup. I enjoyed watching it. Felt like we were getting close, but we weren't quite as close as we needed to be because of the speed and energy of the Sacramento Kings. So, yeah, man, it's just a good week for the Kings. I think they would have beat a lot of teams tonight, not just us. I think we were good enough to beat some teams too. And I don't think we would have turned the ball over as much if we would have won against a team that wasn't fighting as hard defensively, which most teams don't. So I've been on record telling you that Sacramento Kings don't play defense, but that is not what we saw tonight. And it's not that they kept their defense going for 48 minutes. It's just that when they did pulse that defense at you, it was effective. We were also able to score on them too, as we saw in the fourth quarter, getting back into the game as many times as we did. But when they clamped hard, effective, and other way score. And so that's kind of what I saw there. It's very impressive performance by the Kings, and a good effort for the Lakers. Good effort. Good entertaining effort, man. It's just too bad we ran into a team that was playing so well. That's what I think. So, yeah, man, if I had to give the game ball to anybody, it'd probably be Kevin Huerter, man. I'd probably have to give it to an opponent. Even though Bron had triple doubles, most of the steals that would come in were against him, man. Them turnovers, I mean, he had like 6 of them by himself, and 2 or 3 of them in the first quarter, which kind of got us off to a real slow start. I thought Bron had a particularly slow start. He didn't look like he was playing that well to start the game, but he did get it together, of course, as we saw. So yeah, man, AD, I don't know, man. He got to heal up, bro. I'd be surprised if he plays in the next game, which is a tournament game, if I'm not mistaken, against the Portland Trailblazers, of whom we just saw. Could probably beat them without him. Probably could, especially if Bron goes. And I'm just speculating right now, but he just didn't look 100% to me tonight. He didn't look healthy. And look, man, if we would have played Rui Hachimura like we were supposed to, I think we would have been in a much better position to win this game. I know it's kind of hard to fit him in the rotation when you got Cam Reddish that you're believing in defensively. Bron James obviously needs his minutes. AD needs his minutes. You can't play him at the 2 with Austin Reeves. So I understand the conundrum there. But you gotta give Bron more of a rest in a game like this, where he's turning the ball over and all of that. You just got to. You got to put Rui on the floor. You got to let him go. And so I wouldn't be surprised when I look at that, and then I look at the problem we had. It's like, well, I don't want to trade Rui Hachimura, but if this is the game I need Zach LaVine, and this coach didn't play Hachimura, it's kind of one of those type of things you're looking at. But at the end of the day, I want to keep Hachimura, man. I definitely do, and I want us to utilize him properly. And when Vando gets back, we're going to have even more of a logjam with that small forward rotation. It's going to get even worse for a guy like Rui and a guy like Christian Wood, and I don't love that for our team. I think we need to find ways of keeping those guys on the floor a bit more, and I don't know how to do that. So I know that's going to be the challenge, man. So yeah, that is my thought. Not a lot to say about this game, man. I really thought this was a very key game that we would have really, really loved our team in a different way if this particular unit would have found a way to win this particular game. Just by the way it was surging in the fourth quarter when we were down by 9. We were starting to really feel it. I think the crowd was really into it. You could just tell, like, this is the game you fall in love with your team. And I just thought that we just weren't good enough to beat the Sacramento Kings, man. We just weren't. But I'm starting to really like this unit as it pertains to some of the dudes down there that are just making a name for himself. A guy like Cam Reddish is really starting to grow on us. D'Lo, this was a good game for him. And so, it kind of sucked that we couldn't seal the deal. But that credit goes a lot to the Sacramento Kings, I believe. So, yeah, that's the thought, man. I think that's where I want to leave it. Sucks to not win this one, but it ain't because guys didn't try. I just felt like just weren't fast enough and just weren't rested enough and just weren't running better stuff than the Sacramento Kings. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.